Hello, 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 and welcome to the latest episode of the Give My Head podcast. I'm Tim McGarry, joined by my comedy colleague,
Damon Quinn.
We're Michael McDowell-less again. No sinister reasons. He will be back very shortly. He's just slightly unavailable. If you have been listening before, you'll know exactly what the format of the Give My Head podcast is. We speak to people from all aspects of life in Northern Ireland. We've had politicians, we've had actors, we've had comedians, we've had writers, we've had all sorts of people. We've a very, very important guest who I'm going to introduce in a second. But before I do, I just want to say, Give My Head Peace is back on your screens in December this year. 1st of December, I keep forgetting. 1st of December, we're recording a brand new episode for Christmas, and if you can't make that, because the tickets will go on the BBC website and they'll go very, very quickly, but you can apply and hopefully get them. We're on tour with Give My Head Peace all over the province and down south in March of 2026. Tickets available now. Links below, I think, are they? Yeah. Links for Give My Head Peace live. We're in the Grand Opera House the last week of March. Come and see us. We're all over Northern Ireland, like we always are every year, and we're delighted. We can't wait to get back on tour. Anyway, episode 50, whatever, 58, my God, 58, we've survived, that's more than a year. Our special guest today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be honest with you, Paul, don't take this the wrong way. We've had people on this show who people go, oh, that's your man. They won't know Paul Marquess but I would describe you, and would I describe you as a media mogul? Would that be a good thing to call you, a media mogul?
In a very modest way.
In a very modest way.
Yes.
Our guest today is Paul Marquess, ladies and gentlemen. As I say, his face may not be familiar to you, but he's a very, very important man in broadcasting all over the UK. Most recently, and for local audiences will go, you are the man behind Hope Street, the man who invented Hope Street, the man whose company makes Hope Street. You are the writer of Hope Street, and Hope Street is your baby, basically.
I am to blame.
You are.
Yes.
And you are from Northern Ireland, and the reason I know you very, very well is because I went to school with you, and you and I share the same birthday, the 23rd of June, 1964.
Well, we are twins.
We are twins.
We are twins. So that's why you have to have a beard and I have to have a moustache.
Yes, I got
so can tell us apart.
It's a very good moustache.
Yes,
it's a fine moustache you have there, Mr. Marquess.
When we were 18, Tim said to me, "You better get out because this place isn't big enough for the two of us." So I had to get in the boat.
So you went on the boat and got fame and fortune.
Well, I think I left Tim behind to bask in the glory.
But you're Mr. Soap, aren't you? I mean, you've worked on them all. I mean, start going down the list. You've probably worked on most of them.
I've worked on Coronation Street, Brookside, Hollyoaks. I ran The Bill for 4 years, which some people said was a soap. Some people didn't. Who cares, is what I say. I've done some. Is that all? Oh, Family Affairs. Yes, I was the executive of that as well. So.
Right, but you also invented Footballers' Wives, didn't you?
I came up with the original idea for Footballers' Wives.
Footballers' Wives, for people of a certain generation will remember, was a fantastic and very, very popular. And it was a huge hit at the time, wasn't it?
Well, it was. Well, I am delighted to say I was involved in Footballers' Wives. It paid for my kitchen, among other things, and way back in the day. But no, there was a documentary called Cheshire Wives,
right?
And there was a woman in that who was some sort of top model, and she'd married some millionaire, and they took her back in her amazing sports car to the council house she grew up in, and she said, "I know I grew up there, but it's like it happened to somebody else." And I thought, there's a series in that. And then they went into the high fashion department of some department store in Altrincham, where all the Man U players live. And they spoke to the two girls behind the counter, and they said, one of their regular customers came in, she tried on a skirt, she went, "Oh, that's lovely, yes, I'll take that." And they rang it up and said, "That'd be £60. And she went, "Oh no, I can't take that. All my friends shop here. I thought you said 600." So I thought, there's something in that. So I had this thing called Cheshire Wives, and it had Tanya Turner in it and various other characters and I thought it's lacking something.
Needs a wee twist.
It's lacking something. And literally I turned on the television and there was Victoria Beckham, but I went, "Oh, it's not Cheshire Wives, it's Footballers' Wives."
Right.
Did a wee pass on it. And I had been working with Anne McManus, who sadly recently died. And Anne McManus invented Bad Girls and Waterloo Road.
Oh, right.
We met at Coronation Street. A really, really amazing human being. Like, someone you once met, you never forget. God, she loved life. And so it's very, very, very strange that she's gone. And so we worked together on Coronation Street, and we went for dinner in Islington, where the media people go, and got very drunk. And she said, "You got any ideas?" And I said, "I've got this idea called Footballers' Wives." And she got up and ran round the table going, "Wah! It's brilliant." And I said, "I haven't told you what it is yet." And so she sprinkled lots of her mad, bad girls, high octane magic dust on it, which is what it needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think I would ever have come up on my own with what it was. And it's because it was so out there, I think. That's what made it such a big hit. It went in for 5 series and a spin-off.
Wow.
And it was huge in America, you know.
In America?
Really, it was at the time on BBC America, it was the biggest show they'd ever had. So, I mean, and I literally came up with the idea, did some work with Anne at the beginning, and then by the time it sort of really, it got properly commissioned, I was running Brookside.
Right.
And he didn't cross Phil Redmond. Right. So, and then Brian Park, who'd I worked with on Coronation Street to produce it, and they didn't need me. Do you know what I mean? So I just sat back and basically received the checks.
Oh, wow. Even better. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
So, have you ever thought of Irish League footballers?
Strangely not.
I think that would work. It might have the same vibe, to be honest with you.
Cliftonville Wives.
Cliftonville Wives, yeah. Come on, there's a series of that.
Surely Glentoran.
No, you're a North Belfast man. You have to be a Cliftonville fan. So, I mean, again, I'm not taking this the wrong way, but people wouldn't know you. But you're a very big player across the world. You left Northern Ireland as soon as you could. Would that be a fair thing?
First boat.
You left St Malachy's. We finished St Malachy's College in 1982, and you went, "That's enough for me. I am away." Any particular reason for that? You just locked on there. Your ambition.
Oh God, no. I mean, ambition. Ambition to do what? You know. I mean, I've ended up doing what I do by a slightly strange route, which is when I was at St Malachy's, me and Robert Patterson. Remember Robert Patterson?
Do you remember Robert Patterson?
He's now an artist in the Canary Islands.
Is he?
Yes.
Well, Robert was an actor.
He's an artist now in the Canary Islands. Yes. Right. Yeah. So he said there's a play on a Saturday night at Church Hall. The Lyric are putting it on, called The Mara Sad.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yes. And so I said, and I went, "What's that?" I don't know, you know. But apparently took their clothes off. Okay. So we were 15 and we'd only ever seen Aladdin at the Opera House, honestly. We went to this thing, which was absolutely mind-blowing. Yeah. I mean, it was nudity,
about
there was
murder.
Sad,
who was, invented sadism and...
But it was it's set in a lunatic asylum. It was done by the RSC in the 60s as this sort of mad expressionist. Just, honestly, we'd seen The Wind in the Willows and Aladdin, and then we saw this, and we were like, "Oh my God." And my mother said, "What was that like?" "It was great." We were just...
You might like it, Mama.
No, I wouldn't rush to see it. And so then he said, it's all his fault, he said, and on Monday morning he said, "There's this drama group at the Crescent on a Saturday afternoon. We should go." And okay, what does that mean? Don't know. Because the only drama I knew was at St Malachy's with Mr. Kavanagh, who when I met many days later said to me, "Those lessons were a nightmare. I should just get through them."
The drama
lessons, which is just people. It's a good chance to mess around for 35 minutes, 40 minutes. So we went to this drama group and met lots of Protestant girls, which was great, who are still my friends. And I was completely addicted to it, but I never sort of saw it as a career. Do you know what I mean? It was 1979 in Belfast. The city centre had big gates around it. There was nothing else to do. We used to go to Saturday afternoon and pretend, you know. It was brilliant. And we ended up, going to various things around the province. I remember we used to be driven in a minibus supplied by the RUC, which I never told my dad, because he would have been worried. And I ended up being part of the first ever Ulster Youth Theatre, worked with Martin Lynch.
Oh, wow.
It was dramaturging.
Guest on this show.
That's what we were just talking about that before. So, that was all great. And in the middle of this, at the Crescent, there was an amazing woman called Pauline Haig, who was a drama teacher. And looking back, she just did reverse psychology. So I'd say to her, "Oh, I think I might do drama at university." Well, she said, "I did that. It got me nowhere." But looking back, I can see very clearly what she was doing now. You know what I mean? So off I went to, I persuaded my granny to give me the money to go to Manchester for university for drama and English interview for drama and English, for the experience. And when I got there, I was very, very sort of old hippie-ish, lecturer, a very nice man whose name I don't remember, he sort of said to me, "Oh, it's 1981. You're from Belfast. You seem to be quite bright. You live in a war zone. We should just give you a place on. You're exactly what we need on this course. So get 2 E's or something in your A levels." So basically, he went, "Here's a place."
Wow.
And he said, "Do you really want to do drama in English?" I went, "No, Master, I just want to do drama." I said, "Well, that's fine. No, off you go." So I went back, told my dad, who went mental. Who, as far as he was concerned, he was a bright boy who should have been doing law at Queen's.
Yep.
He was going to do something mad. And he kept saying, "Could you not just do..." I mean, I've seen a great plays at the CB Players. You know, they did the play where the Western World was fantastic. "Could you not just do that in your spare time when you're off being a barrister?" And I was like, "No." And looking back, I was just being stubborn, really. You know, I'm doing this. So off I went to Manchester, where there were
1982.
82. There were 42 or 44 of us in the year, I think, doing drama. And that 4 of us hadn't been to public school. So it was just...
1982, we were being sensible and doing law.
We were
there
doing
you
law
go.
at Queen's. Yeah.
See, you did what you were told.
Yes, because my father wouldn't let me go to Trinity. I was accepted for Trinity.
I met your father.
You knew my father, yeah.
He was terrifying. Terrifying. I remember being in your house and listening to Monty Python records,
Yes.
or probably listening to Tim doing Monty Python
Yeah,
records.
doing it.
It's more likely. And your father came back and threw us out. So if he told me to do law at Queen's, I would have done it.
Yes.
But I sort of ended up there, I got there and thought, what am I doing here and why am I doing this? And then I was on this course with all these, because I went to see we had careers as Malachis, we'll do drama, and they just laughed at me. I mean, just laughed out loud.
Yeah.
So I got there, these people were going...
This is before Kieran Hines became very famous, because they
yes.
boast about him now. He's an ex-Malachian.
Yes, well, they certainly didn't see it as a career option in those days.
No, they did not.
They did not.
Not the school we were at.
No, and so I got there and some people going, "Well, there's not enough Bertolt Brecht on this in the first year course." What? Who's he? I've never heard of him. So it was quite a culture shock, basically. And it took me about a year to adjust to it. I found it very hard. I nearly left at the end of the first term, and I was very homesick.
Can I tell you, before we get on to your... Because I starred in a play with you in St. Malachy's called 12 Angry Men.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember
How
12?
angry were you?
I was the old man. I was slightly
All
peeved.
respects.
I was slightly peeved. But the reason we did 12 Angry Men, was the year before the St. Malachy's had done What You Do About Nothing with the local girls' school. And then 9 months after the play, there was Much Ado. Much Ado, because the lady became with child. And then St. Malachy's being a very progressive school, decided what the next play we will do. A play with no women.
It was Henry Fonda in that one, in that production.
Brian Brannigan.
Brian
Brannigan.
Yeah.
I was juror number something or other.
It starred Patrick O'Kane.
Patrick
who is
O'Kane.
now a well-known
Yes,
theatre actor.
Paddy O'Kane. And so it was very, very modern, because 1979 or whatever it was, because we were sitting on the stage as the audience came in. So we were on stage for a long time, and I had 2 lines, but I acted very hard all the way through. And so when I went to on the back of that acting experience, Much Ado About Nothing, and indeed Hail Caesar.
Oh yes,
I went to Manchester thinking, maybe I'll be an actor, because that's still really all I sort of knew. I didn't know about anything else. And we did a production in the first year, and after the dress rehearsal, I heard the writer and the professional writer, professional director, outside the dressing rooms, and they were saying, that went great. I mean, really, it was fantastic. Well done. Shame about that Northern Irish boy. He's fucking terrible, isn't he?
Seriously.
And maybe I shouldn't be an actor. I mean, it was the biggest kindness anyone ever did me. I was terrible.
Right.
Really, really terrible. And
You could have been wrong.
no, they were right. They were absolutely right. And so then I started to do a bit of directing, basically.
Right.
And even when I did my degree, at Manchester, then I went and did a postgrad at the Sherman Theatre in Cardiff, which is much more, because the degree in Manchester was a bit like being at St. Malachy's. It was really academic.
Right.
You had to write loads of essays, and it was quite hard.
Right, okay.
So then I went and did a practical postgrad at the Sherman Theatre in Cardiff, which is much more theatre making, but really just thinking, I don't know what to do. I'll do another course. And then I decided I would be a theatre director, but never did anything about it really, and ended up through a friend running a theatre and education company in Manchester for 2 years, which was brilliant. That was a hoot.
Right.
Really, really good fun. Going around in vans singing songs and doing plays about history, which was great. And then that ended, and I went to London to be a theatre director. But apparently, you have to like do things and talk to people and write them down. I didn't do any of that. I just expected the theatre to find me,
To ring you and go,
Yeah.
would you like to direct our play?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Meanwhile, your ma ringing you from Belfast, going, "Come on home, there's a job in the bank here."
Well, I can tell you a story about that, which is the day when. So I got a job in a shop. This is yeah, that's right. I got a job in a shop, and one day I got a telephone call from what I still call the New University of Ulster in Coleraine, and a nice lady said, "I'm just calling to arrange your interview for the PGCE specialising in drama." And I went, "The what?" "Your interview. I have your application form in front of me here." And I went, "Well, I didn't fill out an application." "I'll call you back." "Mummy!"
Your ma filled in an application
She'd
for you
applied
to go to Coleraine.
and got me an interview, yeah. Which I did not attend. So I worked in retail for quite a long time, which was great, actually. And I ended up being general manager of 2 shops, and then I had my own business selling antiques with a mate, and which I all thought was great. And then one day I went and got really drunk for a very long time. Like, we met at 12, and I think we were drinking till 2 in the morning with Tony Wood, who I'd been at university with, who worked at Granada, and he said they needed script editors. And I said, "What's that?" And he explained that to me, and cut a long story very short about... I thought that, I could have a job tomorrow. No, television doesn't work like that. Don't even know this. Everything happens very, very slowly.
Yeah.
So months and months and months later, I got a 12-week contract at Granada, and I was 29 and a half.
Right, so quite...
Yeah, no, and it was good because I'd done proper jobs.
And you had life experience. And
I'd had people threaten to hit me with light fittings, and and I couldn't do the telly thing of, well, let me just think about that for 3 weeks. Yeah. You have to deal with it straight away.
Was that Corey?
No, not to begin with. It was absolutely sort of grunt job, which was mainly reading unsolicited scripts, which I did for 2 years. Every single one of them was terrible. Honestly, every single one of them. And then doing some script editing, first of all, on a kids' show. Then I had a brilliant time doing a late-night soap opera with Russell T Davies called Revelations, which... probably wasn't very good, but God, we had a lot.
Russell T Davies.
Yeah, well, I knew Russell. Bizarrely, I knew him from my postgrad already.
Oh wow!
So he and I shared an office a lot during our time at Granada, and that's the most fun.
Doctor Who.
Yeah, the most fun I've ever had. And all he used to talk about was wanting to do Doctor Who. So I did a lot of work with him, and then Coronation Street was going from 3 episodes a week to 4 episodes a week, and they were literally like walking up and down outside my office going, "We need to find a story editor. Where can we find a story editor? We need a story editor." So I literally went in and volunteered myself, and they went, "Oh, you would want to do that?" I went, "I really would. I really, really would." So I had a choice actually at that stage. I was working with Paul Abbott. I was sitting listening to Paul Abbott as he was developing Reckless, which is a 4-parter he did for ITV with Robson Green, or I could go and work on Corrie, and I chose to go and work on Corrie.
Wow. And a story editor then, so there's huge arcs, and these are planned months and months in advance. And how does it work? Is people write individual episodes, and then you have or do you sit down with writers and go, "Here's what's happening, here's the plots"?
Well, it's interesting. Coronation Street then was very, very writer-led. The writers were very powerful. There's some writers that had been there for a very...
What period are we talking about here, Paul? So,
late 90s.
Right.
So writers like John Stevenson, Peter Worley, Julian Roach had been there from the 60s and 70s, and they were really, really good. And the assumption on Coronation Street then was that the writers knew what they were doing. Right. So telly's changed so much since then, but we'd have a story conference at which were all brilliantly entertaining. People would, cry and be sick, and it was, people would storm out, all just great fun, basically. And we'd do that sort of 2 or 3 times a year, but generally you sit down once a month and you work out what's in the next month of Coronation Street, and then a story editor with your team, you take that, you go back, you've got loads and loads of scheduling things and physical things and actors' holidays that you have to sort it. It's a grid basically. Work it all out, what goes where, and then you write an individual storyline for each episode. In Coronation Street, they were scene by scene, and with those really experienced writers, you'd hand them that scene by scene, and you'd get back a beautiful script.
Right.
That's what would happen.
Wow.
And it was, it wasn't as easy. It was hard work. We were going from 3 episodes to 4 episodes a week, and they didn't like that. And they were probably right about
The
that
actors, yeah.
on reflection. Do you know what I mean? They were saying, it'll go from 4 and then it'll go to 5. And then I think they never thought it would go to 6, which is what it is now. Right. The quality will go down, la, 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 la. I mean, I don't think I think from 3 to 4, I think actually Granada invested quite a lot of money in it. And I think when it was 4 episodes a week, it was a great show. It was a really, really good show. So I think, they had a point in terms of the slide. I remember John Stevenson saying, an extra episode of Coronation Street a week is one less sitcom.
Right.
Thinking, that's always rung in my head, thinking, well, that's right, really.
Because I did the tour, the Corrie tour, and it was quite revealing. It was quite interesting because I realised then, there's two camera teams here, because we were on. That's where all the outside stuff is on that. And then
just recently,
yeah, and then they do the interiors.
Yeah.
Away somewhere else.
Yes.
So you've got 2 teams working on the, and that's why you get when you watch it, there's so much going on in the street because those actors are booked to do that.
Yes.
Yes. And that's they're getting one. That's one shoot, and then the other shoot's happening with the interiors.
I mean, how they do it now, I just don't know. Honestly, I mean, I take my hat off to them that they make it at all, Because, I mean, when we did The Bill, which we'll get onto, we made 2 hours of drama a week, a lot of it on location. So that, I think at the time, it was the biggest drama production in the world, because the Americans would go, well, we make all that, and you go, well, you don't. We make 100 hours of this a year, and most of it's on location. That's a lot. But Coronation Street now is 3 hours of drama a week, effectively. A bit less than that because of the commercials. Just to storyline that and to write it and to shoot it is
that's a machine. It's a massive.
It's a real achievement. But it must mean, because I know this from shows I've worked on, it must mean the tail wags the dog to some extent. You know what I mean? It must do, because that machine is so complicated, and it imposes limitations on what you can't just go. Well, even on the bill, on the bill we had to have 28 regular casts to shoot it. I'd have liked to have 15.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
28 regular casts.
Yeah, we had to just to shoot the bloody thing. You know what I mean? So on Coronation Street or EastEnders, there's particularly Coronation Street now because there's so much of it, and Emmerdale. The casts are really, really big. Not because the writers are going, we need another 10 characters, because they have to have them to physically shoot it. Yeah. So that has an influence on the way you tell your stories and how stories drop in and out. And the hardest thing on those shows is to sustain the same story across, say, 3 months or 6 months, because you haven't got the actors, basically.
Right. And then some of them getting pretty silly, though, weren't they? Emmerdale plane crashes and stuff. And
Emmerdale plane crashes about 1902, Tim. So I mean,
was it
quite a long time ago?
I watched Gogglebox recently on Emmerdale. There was a serial killer and 3 or 4 people being killed at once, and people falling into rivers and things. And do you have to go? Are there levels of stories where you go, well, this is kind of normal stories and relationships and blah blah blah, but we also need We need something that's kind of grab an audience because we're.
Well, I mean, far be it for me to criticise. I mean, I took over the bill and blew up the police station in episode 8 and killed 7 police officers. Do you know what I mean? And also, the person who was responsible was Barry Grant from Brookside. So, I can hardly paint myself as some sort of James Joyce type, typing in my garret little character. Do you know what I mean? That's so. Yeah, I mean, you need, and broadcasters like big stories, they like story spikes and all the rest of it.
But spikes, that's what I mean. You have to go, and then.
Yes, but I mean, it is a law of diminishing returns. Of course it is. And also, it's a world in which if you say to teenagers, do you watch Coronation Street, they quite often say, what's that? Yeah. Television has changed so much,
dramatically,
when we were at Malachy's, there were 3 channels, and now, as you might be aware, there are a lot more than 3 channels. So those shows, I mean, I thank God sometimes that I'm so old. I'm nearly as old as Tim. Because the sort of television that I really, really love, I think is disappearing. Yeah. And that's fair enough. The world changes. Do you know what I mean? But something like The Bill was designed to attract the broadest possible spectrum of viewers. Yeah. So my job on The Bill, because it wasn't doing that well and took it over, was to keep the audience we had, keep hold of them, which was quite male. They like the crime stuff, la. Bring women in and a younger audience, which we did with more serialised stories, without alienating the existing audience. So I used to always say that the sort of basic thing about the bill was, in those days, and probably still, it's quite true, women have the remote control in their hand. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you needed to have enough cereal. This is so broad, but enough cereal that she would want to watch the next one, but enough crime. So he would feel he'd go to the pub and say, "Do you see the bill? There was an armed robbery, blah blah blah," and not feel he was talking about a soap. You know what I mean? So those shows, Casualty, The Bill, they were designed to bring in a really mass audience. Well, that world has gone.
Yeah.
So everyone has their own screen now. You can watch stuff on your phone. La 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 la. The days when in our family, 7 of us would sit in front of the television.
Yeah.
7 of us and watch the same thing. And my dad would make us watch a nature program, but no matter what was on. Never mind. Top of the
because
Pops.
like we get that with Give My Headpiece. You get people that of a certain age, let's say people in their 30s maybe, or heading into their 40s, and they go and they're saying, come up to us and saying, you were part of my childhood because we always watched Give My Headpiece on a Friday night.
Yes.
Whether
we liked it or
the
not.
whole family. Yes. They would get they get the pizza in, they get whatever, and they would watch. But that
world's gone.
That world has completely disappeared.
Yes.
But the bill was quite controversial. The bill, for maybe younger listeners, don't even know what the bill was. It was a cop show set in any town, wasn't it? And
London. London.
Was it set in London?
Oh, very London. Yes.
Was it very specific?
Yes.
It wasn't specific, but it was a massive hit. And then you were brought in to kind of rejuvenate, revitalise.
I came in 2001, I think, so it had been on for 15 years.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It needed a shake-up.
Right.
It's. I mean, I said some things in the press at the time about it. I won't repeat. It was very white. It was very male. It was, and the writing team were very white and very male. She's very. I'm quite white and male myself.
Yeah.
But I'm a big gay.
Yeah.
So that means I had a sort of free bus pass.
Okay.
But all we did was we refreshed. We refreshed the storytelling, so there was a hook at the end of every episode. I mean, there was. When I was brought in within the building itself, I mean, it was when I first worked in. I can say this now, can't I? Yeah. When I first worked at Granada, everyone got drunk at lunchtime. Right. I did that for about 3 days and thought, I can't do this. Day 4, I didn't go to the pub, right? And some people were a bit like, oh, he's a bit above himself. I think I've just got this job on television and I don't want to get the sack. Because, So fast forward years later, nearly 10 years later, I go to the Bill and they still have that culture.
Right.
So if you want to talk to various people in the building, they say, if you want to talk to him, you better do it before about 12 o'clock. And I was like, well, that has to change. It was very dusty. It was sort of brilliant, you know what I mean? It was very old-fashioned, very dusty there. So actually, it didn't take that much to change it. And the important changes are always on screen, not what's going on behind the screen. So some new writers, some new cast. The new cast are very important. I knew I was doing something right about... I think my stuff had been on for about 6 months, and I got on the tube in South Wimbledon, because you're shooting in South Wimbledon, to go to Clapham. And these 6 teenage girls got on, and they were like this, and they said, "Did you see the Bill? Oh my God, it was amazing." Blah 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 blah. But, that's all we needed. Yeah. It was just because the thing about the Bill was it was on ITV twice a week at 8 o'clock. It needed to get a big audience. It's a no-brainer.
We're talking millions of an audience, aren't we? We're talking.
Yeah, we did a live episode that got 12 million viewers.
Well.
We did a Bill sketch once. We watched a sketch show.
Did we?
Yeah.
I was very offended by it.
There's two people in a restaurant, and there's a band playing on the stage, and he calls the waiter and says, "Can I have the bill?" He says, "Yes, sir." And then the band goes, "Do do 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 do."
That's a terrible joke. That's even that's quite fun. No,
the thing about the bill was everybody remembered the theme music of it. I mean, it was like party or I mean, it was as you say, it was on at tea time, like But but it was part of the early evening sort of schedule,
Yes.
But the music as well was iconic. I mean, it was like one of those. It's a background to your life, like almost like.
Well, one of the first challenges was to have it because they'd done various versions. About 5 years before I got this is terrible. About 5 years before I got there, they did a new. I went in a post-production house in London, and they were doing my titles for something, and they said, "Oh, we've just done new titles for the Bill, and do you want to see them?" And I thought, "Oh yeah, all right then." And they were so terrible, and the music was so terrible because the saxophone on the saxophone, absolutely terrible. So. I remember thinking, I think probably the hardest thing is to rearrange that music so it's not shit and also, but it sounds quite contemporary. Anyway, we did lots of electric guitar in it. It was fine. But that was all, in a way, that was the biggest challenge because It's like everybody knows the music, and there was and people's reaction to music is very visceral. Do you know what I mean? It's like you either love it, or you hate it.
Yeah.
Like I used to watch Coronation Street for years because I couldn't stand the theme music, which I now love. You know, but when I was a kid, I was like, oh, what is that terrible noise? You know.
I was listening to Radio 4. They've done another version of the Archers thing. You can hear the proper Archers theme tune, and then sometimes they do a weird version of the Archers theme tune.
At the weekend.
It annoys you.
At the weekend.
It annoys you.
There you go.
I don't even listen to the Archers. You know what I want?
It's just not
But
right.
they do a weird version of it.
It's not right.
No,
It's-
that's not right.
You have been lucky with cop shows, haven't you? I mean, we have to get on to Hope Street.
When I was offered the bill, they phoned me up. ITV phoned me up and said, "Do you want to be in a shortlist for the bill?" And I went, "I've never done a cop show. I don't think it's my." I literally said, "I don't think it's my cup of tea." And they went, "Oh, come be in a short." And then they phoned me up and said, "It's a very short list," and I got the job. And I was like, "Okay, I'll go do the bill," which was terrifying, by the way. And when I got there, I realised actually crime is really good because there's stakes and there's human interest. You know what I mean? So when you're just doing soap, it's like, oh, I love you, I don't love you, la, 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 la. But doing proper crime stuff with investigation, there's structure and there's a beginning, middle and end, all the rest of it, and there's stakes and all that. So I took to like a duck to water, to be quite honest with you. And also, I got to meet lots of really interesting people doing the bill, lots of police officers. I mean, in my view of the police, I'm from Northern Ireland, in my view of the police was a bit very, very ignorant, actually. I met lots of brilliant police officers. One in particular called Jackie Moulton, who at one point was the most senior female detective in the Met, and she was in the flying squad, and then they based prime suspect on her. And she was my story consultant on the bill, and she is a genius, you know, and also a genius about life and about people and about character and all the rest of it. So that was brilliant. That was really, really fascinating. And now I'm just stuck. You get to a point in your career where you go, there's things people are going to buy from me and things they're not going to buy from me, you know, and they're not going to buy War and Peace from me, you know, but they might well buy a cop show, you know.
But they buy hits from you. There's another show. There's another show in Northern Ireland, you know, Blue Lights, where they're talking about the same thing. I know a lot of cops, and they work very closely with the cops, and the cops say that it's very, very accurate. It's actually, you know, 80 to 90% of what's happening is not, you know, when they do lawyer dramas or whatever. He and I are ex-lawyers, and you just go, "Don't be stupid, that wouldn't happen," you know. But the cop stuff is quite good. Hope Street is a different animal altogether.
Yes.
Hope Street, as we know, massive success. You pitched that to BBC Northern Ireland. Did they come to you? Did you come to them? Did you say, I wanted some? Because you're well connected here. You're from Northern Ireland, but you've been away a long time. Did you always want to come back here? Did you always want to? I
always wanted to make something here. I always did, and it used to really annoy me that. You know, for years and years and years, there would be a head of drama for BBC Northern Ireland, and they would be English, and they would pop over here from time to time. And this is let's not tread all that again, but that's the way it was. And one of them in particular, who was a nice guy, actually said to me, because I'd come along and I'd go, "Hello, I'm from Northern Ireland," and they go, and one of them said to me two things. He said, "The audience just don't want to hear that accent." Yeah. And he was head of drama for BBC Northern Ireland, and he said, "Look, I would love to develop something with you, but let's do something set in London." Yeah. And he was head of drama for BBC Northern Ireland. So you're thinking, okay. So I used to go to and talk to the Film Commission, which became Northern Ireland Screen, who were always sort of encouraging. And what I kept saying was, there should be a returning drama from Northern Ireland. There should be a popular returning drama from Northern, set here, about here, not about the Troubles, la 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 la, for two reasons. One is to build the industry here and to give people an opportunity. You know, the 18-year-old me that left, you know, wouldn't have to leave now. You could stay. You know, people say to me, "Why didn't you come back?" There was, for 20 years at least, there was no way I could come back. I couldn't do my job here. You know, so for that, but then also for that sort of soft power, cultural capital, because remember that I've lived since 1982 in England. So, you know, clearly I'm plugged in here in all sorts of ways, particularly my sisters, who tell me everything that's going on.
Big shout out to the Marquess sisters.
Yes, they are some women. So
you never lose your link here.
No, but I've got all that. But then there's what's on the news. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And so there's if you're an average person in London or in New York, whatever, what are you hearing about? If you hear anything about Northern Ireland, what do you hear about Northern Ireland? And it's all negative. Yeah. It's all negative. And Northern Irish people are you know, the cumulative effect of it is negative. Yeah. It's better now than it used to be, but it's not great still. And so my thing was, people in Northern Ireland are really, really funny. They are very. I mean, you are exceptions, obviously. I must just.
And that's where we end today's broadcast.
I mean, I saw Kerry Quinn's podcast where you all go, Paul Marquess is quite funny. You wouldn't know it. He's quite funny. He comes across as really dull. He's quite funny. Anyway, people here are very funny, I think, and they're funny in a particular way. I love the deprecating humour and the self-deprecating humour. It just, for example, it makes me laugh, you know.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful here. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Yeah. And so I was banging on for years, this is what we should do. And people would go, there's the door. And then after Game of Thrones, Donna, who's my business partner, who's from Yorkshire, said to me, we should go and see Northern Ireland Screen again. They'd like us to come over, la, 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 la. So we came over here on the oddest jaunt, which was where Northern Ireland Screen had paid for a location manager to show us around. And I was like going, what is... And Donna went, just shut up. They're being very positive and helpful. I have been to Northern Ireland once or twice before. Anyway, and it was brilliant, actually. It was just to sort of think about this. And I said to her, look, do you think there's one more go on this idea, and I've got a title for it, Hope Street, and I've got a sort of, I think I know what it would be. She said, well, lovely, let's go and see. We went to see Richard and Andrew at Northern Ireland Screen, and at the beginning of the meeting, I think they're a bit like, here he is again. And by the end, they were going, okay, go and see Eddie Doyle at the BBC. And Eddie at that stage hadn't got the job, the big commissioning job. But my meeting with Eddie, and I've told the story a few times, is so totally unforgettable because, I get to Broadcasting House and there's Eddie's got 29 minutes or whatever it was, and I was in there for three and a half hours or something.
Yeah.
And
you spoke for 5 minutes of that.
Yeah,
you spoke for 3.
And he said, we have to pitch this to Eddie Johnson. We have to pitch Peter Johnson. We have to pitch Peter Johnson right now. No, it went now. But he's not. What we'll do? We'll hang around outside his office and wait till he needs to pee, which is exactly what we did. So we hung around outside his office, the controller's office, and he didn't eventually need to go to the toilet. And Eddie goes, this is Paul needs to pitch something. And Peter goes, can you pitch it after I've had it been to the toilet? So he comes back and Eddie goes, pitch! And I went, it's called Hope Street, la, 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 la. And Peter goes, that sounds great. And Eddie said, it's exactly what we need. And Eddie was just brilliant. He said, we haven't got the money for this, but it's what we need on so many different levels. And he says very smart things about it, like it's a show that anyone in Northern Ireland can watch. There's no barriers to watching it. You know what I mean? It's not tribal, blah, 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 blah. It's, it's not news, it's not sports, it's not documentaries. It's something that everybody can watch in Northern Ireland. Right. So he was brilliant and really, really helpful. And BBC Daytime, brilliant one called Helen Munson, who is the #1 fan of the show. She loved it from the start. And then we pitched it to BritBox and they said yes. So after, I kid you not, 15, 20 years of just kicking against the door that wouldn't open, the doors all opened at the same time.
Wow.
And it's international. It's gone
it's everywhere.
I mean,
it's
massive.
It's everywhere.
Sold everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, all over the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
And is that because it's afternoonish show? It's not cutting edge, are we saying? But can we say that? And I don't mean that as an insult. It's gentle.
Well, I tell you what, people come to work on it, writers come to work, directors come to work on it, and they think it's easy.
Yeah.
It's
it's
an easy watch.
Yeah.
Right.
It's an easy. Yeah.
It's and to be that easy to watch.
Yes.
It's really hard work.
Yeah.
I know. I'm actually 25 years younger than Tim. I just look really old. It's such a hard show to put together. Not to shoot, but to write is really, really hard. So it needs to be able to play at any time of the day or night, anywhere in the world.
Yeah, which is
Yeah, so it does.
Set in Northern Ireland.
Yeah, but it was so odd when we first came to make it here because obviously you judge everything by your phonocab driver, don't you? And they were all like, "What are you doing a cop show? Is it the IRA? Is it serial killers?" Well, no, someone steals a sheep. And one of the episodes in and people, you could just see them. I said, "Well, think about Heartbeat and think about Doc Martin." You could just see they couldn't see that here.
Yeah.
How's that thing about Northern Irish people? They're very funny and warm and self-deprecating, but also take themselves a little bit seriously.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, actually, this place is quite serious. It's quite serious what's happened here. Quite serious.
Somebody stole a sheep, but Johnny's been shot.
Yeah.
There's tears
but I think mainly it was just people just couldn't. Maybe that's what was wrong when I was pitching it. People just couldn't see it, And so when we talked to BritBox about it, and they loved it, and they They had a brochure in front. It was on a Zoom. They had a brochure in front of them, and they said at the end, "Well, we love it. Where are you going to shoot it?" I went, "Well, you've got the brochures full of photographs of Donegal as we shoot it." And they went, "Oh, we thought that was just Google Images of Southern Ireland." And they said, "Well, that's why you need to do Hope Street, isn't it?"
Well,
I said, "No, that's not. It's not the sort of place we're going to shoot in. That's where we're going to shoot it. See that lighthouse? You'll be sick of seeing that lighthouse. It's got to be in a lot, So yeah, it just feels. Yes, it's very deliberately. We're not Blue Lights. Blue Lights is a great show. See, Blue Lights though is essentially about the Troubles.
Yes,
it is.
Yeah,
it's a great show. Yeah. It's essentially about the Troubles. Our show is not about the Troubles.
No, not
our
in
show,
any shape or form, and
our show is about what Northern Ireland could be.
Yeah.
Now, it's slightly idealised, we all know that. But it's and if you analyse an episode of Hope Street, which is not very hard, basically there's a problem. It's hard to write. Let me tell you, it's hard to write 51 of them.
Yeah.
There's a problem that wouldn't have happened if only people had talked to each other.
Right.
Sound familiar?
Right.
I've said, it's the Good Friday Agreement
right,
of,
we don't need,
of
we
TV
don't need
drama.
George Mitchell, and
and
it gets sorted out in an hour.
Exactly. And there's always a bit where somebody goes in the interview room, "Oh God, if only she told me, if only I've understood, or if only he'd done this, la la la," interlaced with, Paddy Jenkins and Alden Methven being absolutely bloody hilarious and delightful, and giving you a flavour of the best moments when you're in a pub in Northern Ireland, the best moments when people are being warm and friendly and nice, and also, going back to what you were saying about the soaps and the spikes and all the rest of that, for me, it very deliberately takes me back to what I used to really love about Coronation Street in the 70s and 80s was, the everyday madness, the small, the small delights and the petty jealousies and all the rest of it.
The joy of knowing the characters and loving them and relating to them and stuff.
Yes, and they're Northern Irish. Do you know what I mean? And it goes through a filter of me, which is a very useful filter because I'm from here, but I don't live here.
Well, I was going to say, you do write some of it, or do you write?
I write a lot
of it. You write.
I write all the good bits too.
Who do you get to write the jokes for you?
We don't do jokes. We leave that to you.
But you write most of it then. Well, that's a big.
Increasingly,
right.
I act as showrunner, which is a very trendy term.
It's an American term.
It's an American term. I went on a showrunner course in the 90s in LA and thought, oh dear, you wouldn't be allowed to do this in Britain. They'd hit you. But it's become more and more like that here, which is just good. I know it better than anybody else. I know these characters really, 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 really well. And so the writers bring so the hardest thing of all is to do a fresh crime story in every episode. We've already had 51 episodes, 51 crime stories. Right. That's a lot. Yeah. And we don't do murders, So, and so you need to come up with a crime story where there are some stakes the audience is going to care about and characters the audience is going to care about, and it needs to not feel like one we've done before. That's hard. So that's where it's very useful to have other writers bring in crime stories. Then the serial, what happens the arc, what happens across the 8 episodes is worked out by me and these days John Fox, who's, I'm sorry to say, from Lurgan. But there's been far too many people from Lurgan working on Hope Street. Right? Honestly, it's been like a rash of them. They're breeding them down there. And so John and I will work out what we think will happen to these characters across the 8 episodes. And then the job is to marry the two. We divvy it up, we write storylines. It's a hard show to write. Yeah. It's a very, very hard show to write. And if you look at Series 1 compared to Series 5, Series 1 is sort of, there's some crime scenes, then there's soapy scenes, crimes. That doesn't work like that. It's much more intertwined now. I think it's a much more polished beast these days, and that's hard work. So from scratch, I've written 4 of the new series, and then I've done some overwriting on the other ones as well, because I'm a vile control freak.
You mentioned our good friend Paddy Jenkins is in it.
I know.
Yeah. Kerry Quinn's in it. They're all local actors, Ella Metfin and all. I mean, had you worked with any of these people beforehand? Are you aware of them, or did you take a risk and go, well, it's going to be all Northern Ireland actors? But
I mean, God, because we cast it during COVID.
Yes.
So we cast all the regulars on. They all did audition tapes. The moment Kerry opened her mouth, I knew who Kerry was. Yeah. It was like, well, you're cast, aren't you? I mean, I was desperately hoping that Niamh McGrady would be able to play Nicole. And little did I know that in Newcastle, County Town, Niamh McGrady was desperately hoping to get the part of Nicole. Because I was thinking, please, can we get Niamh McGrady introduced? Please, can they cast me? So that was, God, I'm such a fan of hers. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Aaron McCusker, you know, got Tarlyn O'Neill now.
Yeah.
She's a horrible, horrible human being.
Oh, she's a
horrible woman.
Yeah, horrible woman. Yeah, you couldn't like her. You couldn't like her. I've
no. She's been nothing but trouble.
Oh, Jesus, I'm so egotistical and obnoxious, you know, and the demands, you know.
She is, you know what? She is the most positive force I've on a set of any actor I've ever met.
Really?
She is brilliant. Just lovely. Paddy Jenkins is a nightmare, obviously.
Yeah.
Has to have his own Winnebago. You know, 3 assistants.
Yeah, we know that from Give My Head Peace.
Yes, champagne morning, noon and night.
Yeah, does he keep going on about being nominated for an Oscar? No.
Has he been?
Yeah. Did you not know? Yeah.
No, I mean, Paddy's fun. And, you know, and Paddy and Eleanor, who plays Lois, they've only been in for 2 series now, and it's like they've been there from the beginning. Eleanor Methin's a genius, I think, you know. Yeah. She's the funniest woman alive. And there isn't a line that you write. I mean, it is also that thing of like when I first talked to Eleanor about the character, and she's like, I know this woman. I know this woman. And I think, God, you do. You know, you really do. You know.
Well, that's a sign of good writing as well. That's well, congratulations.
Yes.
We're at a certain age now. We can't hide it now. Are you on a wind down? Are you enjoying life? Are you going, I'm going to do this forever? Or are you going, do you know what? I'm going to...
I think it's much more likely I'll be retired by the business than retire.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, it's quite, just, you know...
it is an ageist business, but
yes.
also, you know, it's tiring as well. Do you not want to spend more
No,
time
God, I
doing
love
it?
I love it. I really love it. And, no, and also, I mean, I didn't write at all until relatively recently. I mean, I started off... My writing career began writing things on the bill when we were absolutely totally in the shit. You know, like literally, like I'd be at home and phoning them up and going, right, that scene's done. Where's the next scene? And they go, it's in the bus station. Right, okay, and we're ready to shoot now. So I'd be like, in the bus station, and then they make an arrest. And so I was very shocked because at Granada I worked with Russell T Davies and Sally Wainwright and Paul Abbott, Frank Cultural Boyce. So I'd never felt I could say I was a writer. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're writers. So I've come to it quite late. And I really, I mean, I moan about it the whole time I'm doing it. And you know what writing's like?
Writing's a pain in the arse.
Writing's the worst thing in the world. Isn't it?
Writers hate to write.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's worse than working
down.
down in mine. It really is. It's so terrible. No one knows how we suffer. And then once you've done it, it's so brilliant.
When it's done,
it's so brilliant. I love writing.
Yeah, well, we have that with our stuff, the stage shows. I hate writing the stage show, and then you go, oh, this is crap, and then you rehearse it and you go, this is all right. And then you put it in front of 1,000 people.
Yes.
Oh, I'm a genius. This is so good. When's my award coming?
No,
it's
so
enjoyable.
So I'd like to do lots more of that, and the thing about that is that you don't have to be on set at 6 o'clock in the morning or 3 a.m. whatever. Which I don't really fancy doing much anymore. I don't do that much at all. So no, I'd like.
So do you just wander down to Donaghadee whenever you feel like it and see how the guys are, and then go?
I got on set this year because I was doing so much writing in my slightly dark apartment that I hired in the Martin Lynch Cathedral Quarter. I got on set about 4 times this year, and the last time I went on set, I literally thought I'll just pop into the Commodore of the pub, the pub. And the director said to me, oh, we've just changed one word. I went, oh, what's that? Look at me, I'm lovely. Changed one word. Nobody knew what cut to the quick meant. So we've changed it to cut to the bone. And I went, well, that's wrong.
No.
And
that doesn't make sense.
No, I know. Well, you're all educated here.
Yeah,
yes, all educated. So, and I went, well, he said, we've shot it. And I went, well, you're going to shoot it again, aren't you? That isn't really what happened. Really, what happened was they still had a couple of shots to go, and said, could you just say, cut to the quick in these ones, please? And then that's what I've used. But I did cause. I literally just walked on to say hello and caused an absolute shit show.
Good.
Yes.
That's what you're there for. Yeah.
I once did a course that where it was the advice was if you're the producer, never go down to the set.
Yeah.
Go down once. You go down once to show yourself, and then what you will get when you go down the first time is every department will complain to you about something, and the actors will complain to you about something, and you give the same response. You say, "That's a very good point. I'll look into that," and then you never go back to the set ever until the shoot's over.
I mean, the thing about me is I find being on set so boring. It's so boring.
Oh, filming is incredible.
I mean, the thing is, I came out of the closet a long time ago with this is really dull. People are like, I loved it. It's a great to be able to say, no, it's really, it doesn't matter. Even if you've written it, yourself, it's worse actually. Thinking, I wouldn't have said it quite like that. So, oh God, no. So these days, generally, because we have a very quick turnaround on Hope Street, so we never have any time to write it. So I'm just write it,
right?
And then I edit it as well. So.
You edit as well?
Well, I don't physically. I don't do
you
this
sit
stuff.
with the editor?
I sit with the editor. Yeah,
right.
I'm a terrible control freak. I am. It's my show. I never say that.
Well, congratulations on an excellent show. And that was nearly an hour. We flew through that.
Is it? Wow.
Yes. Normally we do 45 minutes. Really sure. Thank you very, very Paul, absolute pleasure.
Lovely to see you.
Is Series 6 coming? Do we know?
We never know.
Do you want us to speak to Eddie Doyle? Could you speak to Eddie Doyle on our behalf about something else?
If you could send some of your friends around to Eddie Doyle's house, that'd be
we will
fantastic.
have a word with Eddie Doyle, because we both want to have a word with
him. I have to say, he is a massive supporter.
Eddie has been a very good friend to us as well in the BBC.
He speaks very highly of you.
Yeah, doesn't he? Yeah, no, Eddie has an eye for things, and I'm delighted that he took the leap and went, because BBC Northern Ireland, it's not entirely BBC Northern Ireland, they took the first risk and went, here, this is going to work. This is
absolutely. And ask him about when he had to dance with a nun at Rathmore next time you see him.
We'll bring you back to tell that story.
We'll leave that for off air. Paul Marquess, thank you very, very much for being a guest on Give My Head podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Like and subscribe. If you want to sponsor, you're very, very welcome. Don't forget, Give My Head piece on tour. See the links below. In the meantime, thank you very much to our guest, Mr. Paul Marquess.
Thank you.